Okay, so hi Srujana, hope you're well. Let's all give a warm welcome and say hi to Srujana, who will be our speaker for today. Just as a quick introduction, Srujana is a data science and analytics evangelist and advocate of using data science for social good. She has expertise in using applied intelligence techniques of machine learning for marketing and customer science. She enjoys fostering the communities of data science professionals and is actively collaborating with United Nations Association in attaining sustainable development goals through responsible usage of AI technologies. And today, Srujana will be talking about women in data science and tech for good. I also encourage you all to think of at least one question that you may want to ask today. And yeah, that's it from me. Now I'll hand over to you.
Hello, thank you so much for inviting me over. Would it be possible for you to give me the screen share access so that I can share my presentation and then we can get started?
I've now made you a co-host. So
yeah, sounds good. Thank you. I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes, we can see.
Cool. Hello, everyone. My name is Srujana Kaddevarmuth. I work as a senior director at Walmart Global Tech here in California. I'm so excited to be here with you all today and share my experience and my career journey through this talk. So over the next few minutes, we'll be talking about my career journey. I'll be sharing some of the non-linear steps that I have taken to make this career journey fruitful. We'll be talking about what it is to be a woman in this male-dominant technology domain, and how do we make sure that we bridge this gap, and why is it important for us to bridge this gap, right? And what are the reasons why we need to attain a greater diversity in the team, in the technology domain, primarily to ensure that we build sustainable solutions to achieve greater impact. I'll be sharing some of the leadership lessons that I've learned along the way. We'll be talking about some of the opportunities that exist in the domain of artificial intelligence for social good. And we'll be closing by talking about the skill sets that you may want to develop so that you're able to successfully enter the artificial intelligence domain and also pursue a career in deploying applications in the artificial intelligence for social good and excel at them. I was born to the family of academicians, and my parents have a major influence on my personality. They taught me to dream big, have great ambitions and aspirations in life. They instilled a very important value of appreciating gifts of life. And I felt I was very lucky as a child growing up, primarily because I felt that they were the guardians of my dreams. However, as I started growing up, I realized that I can no more bank upon my parents to fulfill my dreams. For then I had realized that I and only I am the master of my destiny and can fulfill my dreams. I dreamt of pursuing medicine for my graduation and enter the medical field and be a doctor. Fortunately or unfortunately, it did not happen, and I was totally devastated. I felt shattered because for the first time, my dream did not come true. It was very difficult for me to accept that. However, I had got a decent score in the engineering domain. I pursued engineering for my graduation. During the last semester of my engineering, I got placed with the Energy and Resources Institute, which is one of the leading energy research institute in the domain. And it was there that I got to work on a humongous amount of data. It was my first real world experience and exposure to the world of analytics. And I was totally fascinated by the potential of this field. So I embarked on this journey. After a short stint of 2 years with this organization, I moved on to pursue MBA with specialization in operational research and project management, and started my career as a data scientist with Hewlett-Packard. So there I got to work on a lot of data science projects, core data science projects, specifically in the marketing science and customer science domain. And I started scaling the career ladder and started leading its big data analytics center of excellence. It was at that time the consulting industry was booming a lot. And I knew that to get a greater exposure, I need to explore that industry and that domain as well. So I embarked on this journey and pursued an opportunity with Accenture Consulting Firm, which is one of the leading consulting firms. And there my responsibilities were to lead the data science and customer science teams for this organization, specifically in the customer or consumer hardware space. And I led its Google partnership in the consumer hardware research and data science space here in Bay Area at its headquarters. And during this time, I got to work and also explore some of the other academic opportunities. I pursued Women Leadership Program from Stanford University and completed Analytics Strategy Management Program from Harvard University. I got an offer to pursue a doctoral program in the technology innovation space from Purdue University, and I embarked on this journey. I have been with Walmart for a couple of years now, and here I am responsible for leading technology innovation teams, primarily to drive innovation at scale and productize data science. I'm responsible for exploring some of the opportunities to use data science to build commercial grade products so that we can monetize these products. I'm passionate about data science, but also about accurate representation of women and gender minorities in the space. Hence, I co-founded Women in Machine Learning and Data Science, one of the Asia chapters, and have been partnering with Stanford University and Women in Data Science Initiative, which primarily intends to inspire and educate data science enthusiasts across the globe to embark on their data science journey and pursue careers in the STEM field. Being an avid advocate of using artificial intelligence for social good, I serve on the board of United Nations Association, primarily exploring the opportunities to apply artificial intelligence in the domain of social good and to advance United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Moving on to what it is to be a woman in the domain of artificial intelligence. More than that, it's important to understand why is it important for us to bring in gender diversity in this domain and bridge this gap. Let me give you some statistics, all right? Women in tech statistics indicates that 80% of the technology jobs are held by women, with only 20% being held by women. And out of that, around 26% of these jobs are computing related jobs that are held by women. And out of that, only 3% of the computing related jobs are held by African American women, 6% by Asian women, and 2% by Hispanic women. The situation would have been even bleaker a couple of decades ago. The tech statistics further indicates that only 37% of all the tech startups have at least one woman in their board of directors. Now, this is alarming. A recent study by CNN indicated that pandemic has continued to exacerbate inequalities in the corporate domain and across the American economy and displaced many women from the technology workforce and across from the overall workforce as well. Around 610,000 women, that's hundreds of thousands of women, as compared to 78,000 men, were displaced from the workforce as per the labor statistics by the last year, September. And this is very evident that pandemic has continued to exacerbate inequalities, and majority of these women who dropped off from the workforce were in their prime working age of between 35 to 44 years. It's very evident, as I said, that pandemic has continued to exacerbate inequalities, not only in the technology sector, but across the globe, across the workforce. And many women are being displaced and they're not getting the right opportunities, or at the least, the workload has increased on them, thereby negatively impacting their social, economical, and psychological well-being. So how do we tackle these challenges and bridge this gap? And why do we need to do that? So artificial intelligence domain is one of the emerging technology domains. So some of the emerging technology domains like artificial intelligence, virtual reality, blockchain, Internet of Things, they are transforming multiple facets of our lives and are influencing different walks of our lives. And these technologies are used by almost all the sections of the society. When these solutions are used by almost all sections of the society, it only makes sense to have the right representation amongst the people who are developing these technologies, isn't it? And that's the reason we need to achieve gender diversity in this domain. A recent study by one of the leading consulting firm, McKinsey & Company, indicated that the corporate America is at the crossroads, and the decision that the corporate leadership makes today will have the consequences on gender equality for decades to come. And this is true. It's not only the issue with bringing a lot of women in the STEM domain. It's also about retaining them, providing the ecosystem for them to nurture and grow and excel in this domain. And a part of this is more systemic, and some of this is also depending on individuals. So as individuals, as women being in this male dominant technology domain, we need to come up with our own coping mechanism. Some of the coping mechanisms that have helped me along the way is speaking up and speaking often. It's important to be heard. Second, having positive self-affirmation. This is important primarily because many studies have indicated that leadership is a lone journey. And many times as women, we have to endure a lot of critics. And it's our natural tendency to go on negative self-talk and go on a loop of accusing ourselves for something that's gone wrong. So it's important to break out of that habit and develop this habit of coming up with self-affirmation that will help us get comfortable with ourselves, grow and thrive within this ecosystem. It's important to sometimes own our spotlight. That's primarily needed because research has indicated that women are very quick in terms of passing on the credit to other male members on the team or to others on the team. So it's important sometimes to own your spotlight and own your space and cherish that. Next, owning and embracing our natural leadership abilities. Now, this is important because a recent study by Harvard indicated that world needs feminine leadership traits. Now, what are these feminine leadership traits? They are building more sustainable solutions and thinking of long-term profits and long-term benefits rather than short-term immediate profits. Thinking of how do we build and nurture the ecosystems, the communities, as well as the businesses. So it's important for us to have this kind of a leadership traits, and embracing our natural leadership traits is going to help us thrive and grow within this ecosystem. Having traversed a complex landscape of working with multinational organizations, having presence across different geographies, across different industry, I have traversed some really complex landscape and have experienced certain successes and failures in the course of path. So today I'd like to be discussing some of the leadership lessons that I've learned along the way that may come in handy for you as well. First one, empowerment. It's important for us to feel empowered and also empower our associates or people working along with us. That helps us grow. One of the examples that I could give within my own ecosystem and for my own work environment is that I lead a team of data scientists, right? So I have team members who are entry-level data scientists, and also I have data scientists who are very seasoned, having enormous amount of experience. Many a times we need to build enterprise scale products, and for that we need to collaborate with the product teams, engineering teams, governance teams, digital citizenship teams, and it's important for us to work with stakeholders who have conflicting interests, conflicting priorities. And the best way that we can work with them is to feel empowered, make the right decisions, given the right amount of information that we have at hand. I cannot physically be part of these meetings all day, all across. So what I give a message to my associates on my team is that I ask them to feel empowered and make the right decisions based on the information that they have at hand. Sometimes these decisions work and they're successful. Sometimes they backfire. And when they do so, it's my responsibility as a leader to provide a safety net to them such that we are able to fix this problem and get the project back on track. So empowering others has helped me grow internally as well. Second, ensuring that we have a mentor in our career journey. It's going to be very, very important. I was lucky enough to find the right mentor at the right point and at the right juncture in my career. It's important to find mentors because mentors can transform our lives and help us get different perspectives. Don't find the mentors just based on their titles or designations. Find the mentors who are willing to invest time and are invested in your growth. Make sure that you share your vulnerabilities as well as insecurities with your mentor such that you build a sustainable, transparent, and authentic relationship. It's important to understand that mentoring is a two-way track. While we get to learn a lot from our mentors, it's also important for us to teach something to our mentors. That is to share our ideas, to talk about some of the new technologies that we are working on. So it should be a learning opportunity for them as well. Only then it will be sustainable. Investing in your growth. This is again a very important aspect because technology industry is going vertical. We need people who have got subject matter expertise rather than people who have superficial knowledge and who work horizontally. So investing in your growth, ensuring that you take up trainings on a constant and regular basis is going to enable you to develop that kind of a subject matter expertise. And it is important because the technology domain in itself is evolving at a lightning speed. So to be relevant, it's important for us to keep studying. Whatever was relevant yesterday is not relevant today. Whatever is relevant today may not be relevant tomorrow because the domain itself is so fast evolving. So it's important for us to take trainings. Maybe they are corporate sponsored, or we could explore our own avenues to take up trainings to make sure that we grow and constantly keep updating ourselves within this domain. Ensuring that we have positive intent is going to be important. As you go on the leadership journey and as you embark on that, you would be working with stakeholders who have got conflicting interests and conflicting priorities. So it's important to assume positive intent, and that will help us grow personally. And the amount that we grow personally would help us proportionately grow professionally as well. So assuming positive intent is important to have a fruitful leadership journey. And the last one is around developing non-work related hobby. Let me give you an example. There was a study that was conducted wherein there were two cohorts. One cohort was asked to study a particular subject for around 5 days and were asked to take an exam at the end of the 5th day. And the other cohort was asked to study the same subject for around 3 days and intermittently engage in their favorite sport and take the exam at the end of the 5th day. The second cohort got better scores because our minds are cognitive systems and they work very well with varied stimulus or stimuli rather than just focusing on one particular kind of a stimulus all the time. So it's important for us to empower our associates, empower people around us. That's how we get empowered and we'll be able to grow. Ensure that we have mentors early on in our career journey. Ensure that we invest some time in growing, assume positive intent, and develop non-work related hobbies. Now, most of you are data science enthusiasts and would like to explore this vibrant, enthusiastic field of artificial intelligence for social good, all right? So let's understand what are the trends across different sectors. By understanding these trends, you'll be inspired to do more research on sector that you find more relevant based on your background. And then you can explore some of the technical capabilities that you could build and develop to be able to engage in this field, contribute, drive value, and create greater impact. So let's look at the corporate sector. Many corporates are investing a lot of resources in the domain of artificial intelligence for social good. For example, Google calls for a social impact challenge, which it calls AI impact challenge. And this is important primarily because they invest and they have earmarked around $25 million of cloud computing funds and are working with multiple organizations across the globe to bring the ideas to life. They call for the challenge and they call for the applications across the globe. Many organizations submit the proposal. They pick up a handful of these proposals which resonate with the organizational strategy, provide the required consultation, as well as the cloud computing resources, and help bring these ideas to life. IBM Research Labs, on the other hand, also has got this social good fellowship. And they started this fellowship in the year 2016 and have completed more than 28 projects successfully in the space with more than 110 researchers internally and externally. They have worked on various topics, starting from identification of new epidemics, understanding the reasons for opioid addiction, looking at understanding and recognizing hate speech using their homegrown technologies like Watson. Microsoft, on the other hand, has got a holistic program and has got multiple initiatives in the space. For example, they have initiatives across 4 different umbrellas: AI for Earth, AI for Health, Humanitarian Action, and Cultural Heritage. They work with various organizations while mobilizing the adoption of their own homegrown Azure or cloud computing technologies, and work with the organization under these different umbrellas to make sure that they bring these ideas to life, work with them to create tangible impact. One of their flagship program is AI for Earth Innovation Grant, which they conduct in collaboration with the National Geographic Society and focuses primarily on enhancing biodiversity while mitigating climate change. Similarly, even government sector has got humongous amount of data and are exploring avenues to democratize that data so that we can democratize the insights and drive some meaningful actions. For example, California Natural Resources Agency has got humongous amount of data and data sets. And they recently carried out this huge endeavor of tagging these data sets, because most of these data sets that are released within the government sector are not clean data sets and cannot be used to drive meaningful insights immediately. They need extensive data processing. So there was an effort that was carried out to tag this data and make these data sets available to general public through their website. They also have the visualization dashboard, which primarily talks about what are the forest covers, where are the water reservoirs, and what are those communities that are impacted by wild forest fires. They also work with various corporates and academic institutions to engage in projects that can drive greater impact for communities. Another such organization is Ocean Protection Council, which also has got humongous amount of data and primarily uses technologies like artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, virtual reality, blockchain, primarily all of these emerging technologies to detect and quantify marine pollution, enhance sustainable fisheries, and enhance and encourage development of improving biodiversity, and also mitigating and combating climate change. Even United Nations associations and United Nations agencies has got humongous amount of data that's made available. And if you are interested, you can explore those data sets and also participate in forums like Kaggle, which have got these data sets that are made publicly available, and you can experiment and explore the data science domain through these avenues. Moving on to the academic sector. Some of the universities have got dedicated programs in the domain of artificial intelligence for social good or data science for social good. For example, Chicago University has got a 6-month program wherein it calls for the applications and applicants across the globe apply for this program. They select a handful of fellows and train them primarily on the aspect of data processing, big data, working with developing and deploying the models in the production environment, ensuring that the models are validated effectively, and working on developing exhaustive technology stack to be able to deploy these models in real-time automated fashion. Now, they work on real-world problem and engage with various other institutions like non-government organizations or corporates, primarily to drive greater value and impact. For example, they work on projects in the areas of education, health, public safety, transportation, economic development, and international development. Similarly, we have other universities like Stanford University or CMU, which primarily have some short-term programs in the data science for social good, which are primarily 3-month program, and they call for applications across the globe and have got dedicated mentors who are full-time, work with these fellows to bring these ideas to life. Moving on to the non-government sector. Now, non-government sector are involved in the aspect of social good. However, for them to use technology, they may have to most often than not partner with various other corporates or government agencies to get the right funding. Because artificial intelligence as well as the data science is a resource intensive field and requires humongous amount of funding and compute resources, infrastructure, to be able to successfully build and deploy the models in production environment and drive value out of them. So one of such organization that's making great strides in this space is Global Emancipation Network. Now, Global Emancipation Network is one such organization that's working on combating and mitigating human trafficking, and it's working with various other organizations to ensure that we have law enforcement that's done effectively and informing policies as well. We have various other organizations as well, but I'd like to briefly talk about specifically this organization, that's Global Emancipation Network, because I got to work on a particular project and got an opportunity to contribute to this amazing and impactful area of social good. So they had a humongous amount of image data set of massage parlors across the United States. And some of these massage parlors were identified as potential source of human trafficking. And this was very tricky because we didn't have a lot of signals. However, the task was to make sure that we develop a machine learning algorithms to capture some of the signals that are provided by the law enforcement authorities and use these algorithms to test the data set, that is this image data set consisting of massage parlors, and categorize them into high risk, medium risk, as well as low risk massage parlors, so that law enforcement authorities can utilize their scarce resources in mitigating human trafficking in the high risk massage parlors and have a bias towards action wherein we can get major or greater impact. I believe such projects are important primarily because around 21 million people, including men, women, and children, are trafficked each year, developing around 50 million in revenue or 50 billion in revenue for these traffickers and unorganized criminal networks. And these problems help us fight these societal menaces. So it's important to work on such projects and initiatives. Moving on to why is it important for us to develop the right skill set to be successful in this domain? Let me quickly talk about that. It's important because the domain itself is evolving a lot, and it's important for us to understand what is it that's trending this domain so that we are able to build the right skill set and are able to contribute effectively in this domain. And most of you are data science enthusiasts. So I believe you would want to explore different kind of skill sets, and you would want to understand what is it that you need to learn to be able to successfully enter and excel in this domain. So for that reason, I would like to discuss some of the skill sets that you would be needing in case you're interested to explore and thrive in this domain. A very recent study by McKinsey & Company, which looked at around 160 social impact use cases, came up with this understanding that there are around 18 capabilities that one needs to develop to be successful in this domain. So what are these specific technologies or capabilities that one needs to be developing? Firstly, even though there are around 18 categories or 18 capabilities, they are actually categorized into few of the categories. Majority of those 18 categories or 18 capabilities are categorized into the initial 4 categories. That is, around 14 of those capabilities are categorized into the top 3 categories, which are around computer vision, natural language processing, audio and speech processing. And the remaining capabilities are considered as standalone categories or capabilities themselves. And they are classified into remaining 4 categories around content generation, reinforcement learning, and structured deep learning, as well as analytics. Now, I would like to highlight something about analytics here, right? Analytics is more of a descriptive work, and advanced analytics moves towards predictive work. So it cuts across all of these different categories that are mentioned here. So it's important for you to explore these dimensions and start working and building and developing these skill sets in case you want to pursue your career in the domain of artificial intelligence for social good. The other aspect that I would like to highlight as well is around the evolution of data regulatory framework. The data regulatory framework in itself is evolving. So we have ample opportunities to explore this space. And some of the trending capabilities in that space are, there is a need for, and there will be enhanced need for fairness experts, privacy and piracy researchers. So it's important to explore these unconventional skill sets, build on that, and explore these domains as well if you're interested to thrive in this domain. We are on the cusp of artificial intelligence revolution, which many people believe is a significant and a single largest technology revolution that our species has ever encountered. What kind of outcomes can we predict based on this revolution? Will we be able to predict our outcomes and bias our future towards the positive outcomes, away from the negative outcomes, to improve our longevity and world hunger and create capabilities to live in space? What kind of a transformation will the artificial intelligence domain drive, and how you will be able to contribute to this cause? Think about it. Thank you. Here are my contact coordinates. In case you would like to engage in further discussion, I'd be more than happy to do so. I also have some of the resources that I've gotten for you. In case you're interested to explore more, you may want to use this deck, explore these links that are provided here. And if you have further questions, you can reach out to me through the contact coordinates that I just shared. I'll be open to take any questions now.
Thank you so much for that very inspiring and very insightful talk. So does anyone have any questions that you would like to ask? You can either unmute or put it in the chat. I think whilst people are coming up or typing up their questions, I might just ask a quick question. So you talked about the large data sets, for example, used in the massage parlor situation, or how IBM Watson filters out hate speech and stuff. So how is stuff like bias in AI and the AI learning from bad patterns, for example, if human data is used, how is that prevented? Is unfiltered data input, or is the data filtered before it's processed on, if that makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a lot of effort that's been put in data munging, in processing the data. We call that feature engineering. So we look at, sometimes the data set itself will be like bulky, right? So there is going to be a lot of features, there are going to be a lot of variables. So we do dimensionality reduction such that the algorithms are able to use less amount of compute resources, but are able to give the same output by maintaining the accuracy. So what we look at is processing the data, making sure that we clean up the data set and ensure that we get the right inputs so that we are able to get meaningful outputs. We have seen there is a lot of bias and sometimes hidden errors that exist in the data. We have seen many chatbots that have unleashed racist comments on social media because they were such examples on public display, and the algorithms were given those curated data sets to work upon, to train. And that's why we would see such biases even in the form of outputs. So we need to be really conscious about these unintended consequences, which can be amplified by deploying these models in the production environment.
Okay, thank you. That was very interesting. Yeah, so I'm not sure if other people have questions, but I'll just ask one more very quick question. You mentioned mentors are very important, and I agree. Where would you suggest we reach out to people who we think would be good mentors, and how do we find mentors as such?
Yeah, so in case like, we are still studying, in academia itself, we find very good mentors who could be our seniors, who would be the alumni of the organization, right? Who might be in different areas, pursuing career in different areas. If you are looking at when you enter the corporate domain, right? So you would have a lot of people who would be in the leadership positions who may be doing some amazing work and may be exercising greater risk appetite, they could be great mentors. Based on which field you are, which domain you are, you can always explore some avenues to find good mentors and start working with them. It's not possible that most of the times, like, you engage in a conversation with the mentors and they would be able to relate to what you're doing. So it's a journey to explore the right mentor and then embark on this journey.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I think I'll definitely look into getting a mentor now. So yeah, there are still no, let me just check. There are still no messages in the chat, but I'm sure people will definitely reach out to you if they do have questions. So yeah, thank you so much for your talk today. We all very much enjoyed it. And yeah, I think we'll just end it there.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity. Take
Yeah,
care.
thank you. Bye.
Bye.